Hello, everyone. It is September 12th, 2023. Holy moly. This is the Inland Wetland Agency / Conservation Commission for Norwalk, Connecticut. Welcome. Alexis, could we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Steve Clockey.
Here.
Matt Pence.
Good.
Heather Breslin.
Here.
Cheryl Brown.
Here.
All right, so you have 4 present and you do have a quorum.
Wonderful. Do we have anyone online who wants to comment on anything that's not on our agenda today? No open.
So if you are a member of the public that is here to listen in, you can keep listening in. If you would like to make a comment on anything other than a pending application, so general conservation, general inland wetland comments, you can use the raise your hand function. I think that they're all just listening in.
Great. Okay. Moving on to then receipt and discussion for S23-626 199 Newtown Avenue.
Yes, so this is a application for a new single family residence at a currently vacant lot. I'll just share my screen really quickly to get you oriented, and then we'll have the applicant take over. So here's Newtown Avenue, which is also Route 53, where it splits from Allen Road. This is the Norwalk Senior Center. And it is this rear vacant lot here. So a portion of the property is inundated with part of this pond. The access would be from Newtown Avenue coming in to develop in this area here.
Boy, that's a great lot.
Yes. So I know that Mr. Martin is here. I don't know if there's anyone else here for this application. But you are welcome to take the floor and describe, just give the agency a brief overview of the proposal. I don't know, Dean, if Amelia Williams from my office did a staff report. No.
Yes, for the record, Dean Martin, professional engineer with Grumman Engineering. I did get a copy of the staff report from the owner this afternoon, late this afternoon. Yes, this is a just under an acre parcel. It's a rear lot located at 199 Newtown Avenue. I don't know if, can I share my screen, Alexis?
You should be able to, yes.
Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this is the parcel located at 199 Newtown Avenue. Newtown Avenue is here on the right-hand side of the screen. They're accessed through a access way. The property is partially covered by a pond and wetland area in the southern portion down in here. There's a flood line. I don't know if I can make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Is that better? There's a FEMA flood line which also runs through the property. This dark dashed line. Oops, there we go. Here we go. The 100-foot review area is this red line, which basically encompasses all of the buildable portion of the property. That being said, this is a property which was part of an older subdivision. It did go through this commission back in 2011. Similar application. There were owners requesting to construct a single-family dwelling. it would be just a slab on grade, no basement, obviously, with access driveway, stormwater retention, which was designed based on the current City of Norwalk drainage manual. It has a connection to the sanitary sewer in Newtown Avenue via a force main pump system. Pump would be here, force main running along the driveway up to Newtown Avenue. Additionally, water service would be coming off from Newtown Avenue. We did show the lighter green colored trees are existing trees around the property, which will remain. We've shown some tree protection around these trees. The darker green circles down in this area is some buffer plantings that were proposed. These were basically proposed on the previous application and just carried them over. I did notice in the staff review that an updated landscaping, a more comprehensive landscaping plan was required, buffer planting plan, and we will certainly be happy to provide that. We'll get a qualified professional to provide that plan for the commission's review. As this is a very, very tight lot, the setback lines from the zoning perspective is right here. So there's very limited building space on this site, and staying outside of the flood zone, which is this, again, this dark dashed line. The owner is requesting, this footprint, this would be the living space and with a 2-car garage on the end, and then a patio in the backyard, which would be on grade. We have a stockpile topsoil stockpile area here, siltation fencing and running around the perimeter of the disturbed areas, as well as this line would be a double, like a silt fence, snow fence, to be installed and maintained during construction. Additionally, the anti-tracking pad at the entrance of the driveway at Newtown Avenue. There were some other comments which I did briefly get a chance to look at. I had no issues with. Again, the wetlands that are shown on this and were taken off from an A2 survey, which was done back in 2011 for the original submission, which was a plan done by Brodigan Associates. I have a copy of that file, that survey in my file. I can forward that, or if the commission requires an updated survey, we can probably get that done as well. Whatever your requirement would be. After the submission was done, we did go to the site and dig a couple of soil test holes in the location of the proposed stormwater treatment systems, just to make sure that what we proposed would be adequate as far as groundwater or any other restrictive layer. That information will be provided as well. Construction sequence, certainly, it got missed, didn't get added to this plan. That'll get added in. I'll have to check with the owner. I know there was a comment, encouraging the driveway to be pervious as opposed to a hard surface. I certainly think that's something that the applicant would be willing to abide by, but I'll have to check with them. I guess that's pretty much it for my initial presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Dean, could you real quick zoom in on where the wetland line exactly is?
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty much the water's edge, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit back from the water. The dark line right here is the water's edge, and if you look just behind it, there's like a thin, solid line right through here, which is the actual wetlands where the wetland flags were located.
Okay.
Right through here, and then it does dip back a bit over here. Or yeah, right back a bit. Right over here is the actual wetland line. Pretty much right where the edge of the buffer plantings are.
Got it. Thank you.
This is on the other side of the pond, the bigger pond. What's the
Here,
Wait 1 second. No,
Oh, 14 Acre Pond?
yes, thank you.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I was just asking if that is one of the water courses go to the
Oh,
14
yes,
acre, right? Is that where we're,
yes,
okay,
right here. This comes down from 14 Acre Pond.
okay.
More commissioner questions?
In terms of tree canopy, the before versus after, is there a gain or I don't know what it's like in its current condition?
There are, let's see, there are, I think, 3 trees that are proposed to be removed. This is fairly open, maintained as lawn currently. There's a tree right in the center where the house is going to be. Another fairly, moderate sized tree right here, and then a tree at the north side right over here at the edge of the driveway. Those are really the only trees that we're proposing to remove. All the remaining trees are pretty much along the edge of the property, and they will remain. So, we're not adding any substantial trees in the buffer planting area as of now. But we're not really removing anything along the water's edge either. Like I said, our canopy that we're removing is more or less the 3 trees centered or more interior. So we are removing a little bit of canopy, but not a substantial amount.
Do you think? Oh, sorry.
What's the condition of the vegetation along the water's edge? I see that you have current plantings planned there.
There's some invasive species. There's a lot of brushy invasive species which will have to be removed.
And how deep is that buffer area that's being shown currently?
That's a 10-foot buffer that we're showing.
If y'all haven't had a chance to look at it yet, the memo that Amelia wrote on the 8th is very helpful. So Dean, have you seen that or not?
Briefly, I received it this afternoon.
Okay. She's got on page 2, for those who are looking at it, she's got the mention of the pervious driveways encouraged. More information is needed to determine the depth and elevation of the galleries, especially in relation to the groundwater table. Mentioned they're removing the invasive plants around the water. But anyway, she's got bullets that says, in summary, staff recommends requiring the below a professional wetlands scientist evaluation. So how old, Dean, are the flags that this drawing is based off of?
They were done in 2011.
Okay.
And I think Amelia is, I don't think she's necessarily questioning the delineation, but more suggesting an analysis of the wetland impacts.
Got it.
So a professional wetland scientist as opposed to a soil scientist, just to clarify.
Right. Got it. Thank you. Let's see, total square footage of living space. More information regarding existing conditions. I think Commissioner Pence was alluding to that as far as maybe clarifying exactly. I mean, I think they're on there. They're just not obvious which trees are being removed.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of my questions. I wasn't sure what that comment was regarding, but
yeah. The proposed construction sequence and timeline, which is a requirement. A2 and T2 class land surveys. Also a requirement of the application. Plant management and landscaping plan by certified professional. Double checking the base flood elevation. This is a zoning requirement, she says, but also to our benefit to know. And then again, that depth of the proposed retention systems relative to the depth of the groundwater. All that makes sense to me. I don't have anything else to add other than I'd be curious to know if the property owner would be amenable to considering something a little more permanent with regard to the buffer at the water's edge, like let's say, boulders, spaced out or something like that. So it's obvious that it's, not meant to become lawn. Although there's not much space to overtake, so I doubt it would happen, but it's just a thought, not anything
Sure.
I feel strongly about. Does anybody else have any questions about the memorandum that Amelia wrote or anything else we've seen? This is just a receipt, so we're not making any decisions
Yeah.
today.
I would like to see a more robust buffer planting when the professional puts that together. So, and possibly deeper as well. It seems like 10 feet is pretty narrow with how the proximity of the house.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add or ask? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Martin.
All right. Thank you. I'll get this information together and we'll have it for the next meeting.
Sounds great. And that is in 2 weeks, right, everybody? September 24th, is it? Or September 26th?
26, yes.
Yep, great. Okay,
Oh, okay. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, moving right along. S23-627, 91 Witch Lane. Another new single-family residence.
Yes, I'll do the same quick overview. Location. Oops. All right. So 91 Witch Lane is down in Rowayton. Here's Highland Avenue coming down and Witch Lane.
Share your screen, please, Alexis.
Oh, shucks.
I do it every meeting. Still.
All right, here we go. Sorry about that. As I was saying, here is Highland Avenue. Here's Witch Lane coming across. 75 Witch Lane, which you recently saw, and others in this area. The 5 Mile River and Harbor is off the screen, and the property is this one here. So it kind of looks like a rear lot. It technically isn't. It has an existing long winding driveway that comes to an existing small single family residence. The property owner wishes to construct a modern single family residence in the center of the lot, retain this as a accessory dwelling unit. The wetlands and why it's here for you tonight is there is a small pocket of a wetland in this vicinity, and then there is one kind of in this area adjacent to the existing driveway. In addition to the house, the applicant also wishes to realign the driveway to better manage access to the lot and its shared driveway situation currently with number 93 here, which you can see it kind of comes into 93 and then continues north to the house. And again, it's wetland area in about this location and in this location. That's kind of the overview. And I believe I saw the applicant here. So if you want to just introduce yourself, and you should be able to share your screen, or I can share mine. And
I can share my screen. Thanks Alexis for that introduction. My name is John Conti. I am a licensed professional engineer in the state of Connecticut. I'm also the owner and applicant for this project. So this is oriented, unfortunately, 90 degrees to what Alexis just showed you. So north is plan left, Witch Lane is here, Witch Lane runs east-west, as you know, and north is this direction over here. So as Alexis was saying, under existing conditions, there's a single family residence here. That's where I'm sitting right now. This is 93 Witch Lane, and it is a rear lot. You can see comes back. This is another parcel, separate parcel, and this is a separate parcel. The existing driveway comes off of Witch Lane right here, goes to the north and sort of wends its way through the center of the lot to a little parking area, and there's some existing patio and decks, walks, etc. next to the house. The general proposal here, broad strokes, is to build a new single-family residence, and as Alexa said, leave this existing house as an accessory dwelling unit. This site plan has approval, site plan approval from Norwalk Planning and Zoning for the plan as it exists like this. So a new single-family residence here, garage in the back with a little parking courtyard, and a new curb cut off of Witch Lane that comes parallel to this existing driveway to serve the new house. This section of the driveway, the whole thing would all be completely removed under proposed conditions, and just this section here from Witch Lane sort of to this dark line here would remain to serve 93 Witch Lane. I believe this plan sort of shows a little bit better without the existing conditions what it would look like under proposed conditions. Just driveway here, new curb cut accessing rear lot, and the house to remain. The plan has approval from Norwalk Planning and Zoning, as I said. DPW has given it approval. Water Pollution Control Authority has approval from, and I can't remember the name of the department. It's like the traffic department had some minor comments that I don't think would affect this overall site plan. So probably one of the areas of interest is how this new driveway is aligned. So this dotted line here is the limit of the wetland. Alexis was pointing to those in the aerial view. And there's another pocket here. This dotted line indicates. So under existing conditions, this driveway is sort of a little chunk is actually in the delineated wetland area, and a lot of it is sort of right next to this wetland. The proposal would be to have this wetland, this driveway, the new driveway, this one be removed completely, and this driveway come through this section of the wetland here. And in order to mitigate sort of some of the impacts of this, we have proposed a culvert here, which is like, just like a little tiny bridge to two functions, allow the project to maintain as much of the existing in situ soils as possible in this wetland, and also to make a hydraulic connection between the two wetlands. We also have this entire thing is proposed to be a porous pavement, and that's part of the stormwater mitigation that DPW has reviewed and approved. And we also have submitted a planting plan, again, to sort of bolster what's there currently, remove some of the invasives, put back some native species, remove, obviously this is driveway material, not nice next to a wetland, remove this, plant it with a shade meadow mix. And also, if you've had a chance to review some of the project narrative, we plan to excavate out a section of this driveway equivalent to roughly 3 times what the impact is here. So this what we're crossing here is about 150 square feet. So we're going to excavate and replace the soils with something more native to sort of increase the size of the wetland by 450 square feet. So our thought is there's some impact here possibly, or at least we're crossing the wetland, and we're going to sort of bolster that by increasing the size of this wetland. Those are the broad strokes of it. I don't know if there's any other detail you want or any other area of this you'd like me to touch on. That's my overview.
Other than the,
Go ahead. Yep.
sorry, I was just gonna ask, other than the driveway, is there any vegetation being impacted by the work within the wetland? Is
Within
there
the wetland,
anything existing being removed?
there's a few trees here that have to come down to accommodate the new driveway, but like this tree here is existing. I'd like that to stay. These trees down here, I plan to have these stay. Obviously, any trees in the wetland here would stay. So I think it's really just these 3. Oh no, you know what? This oak has to go because there's a grade change here. I can pull up my SNE control plan. Yeah, I apologize. This tree has to be removed because of a grade change. But other than that, it's just these, I believe.
But that's not within the area of review, is it? Am I,
Sorry,
It-
within the area.
It's
of what?
within the upland review area.
it's
not
within,
within
okay, I didn't know where the
wetlands.
line was for that. I saw,
Yeah,
I actually don't know if I delineated the 100-foot from.
okay, that's,
it's
But
50
it would be
feet from the
like way
wetland.
it would be like way up here, the 100.
got
foot.
it.
Yeah.
Well, that's for a water course, guys.
Yeah.
Is there a water
It's
course?
a-
No.
No, so it's 50 feet from the wetland,
Like
and
50.
so it pretty much bisects the proposed house, if I
Yeah.
recall.
Like
Okay.
here, straight, yeah.
So if we could have that added, right, I
Sure.
think that, yeah. At least I will be less confused.
I'm skimming over the wetland assessment / impact analysis report from JMM dated August 5th. I'm skipping forward to page 4, which talks about the functions and values assessment. It looks like there are a few functions present, but not principal functions. And then I haven't gotten to the proposed activities and the direct wetland impacts. Mr. Conti, do you have a summary of that for us, or should we
Yeah.
stall?
I should be more familiar with that report, but I think the broad strokes of it are the function of this wetland is not great. It's got a lot of invasives in it. It's got Pachysandra in it, and with the amount of plantings that we're proposing to go back, I have that plan at my fingertips. It's and with the addition of more wetland here, overall, this is a plus for the wetland. Additionally, this right now is not paved. It's a gravel driveway, and it erodes considerably, and it has to be maintained, and all of that, driveway based material annually, or however often I replace it, is washing downstream. It's and this is going to be a porous pavement, much more stable, promotes infiltration, et cetera, et cetera. So broad strokes are, I think this is an overall plus to the wetland functions.
Yeah, the language actually in the report here says, by moving the driveway, this will lead to a proper design and prevent continuous washouts and the release of sediment down the drive and to the adjacent regulated resource, which is the wetland, of course. But then we're also talking about that comes at a cost, which is, effects to, exposing wetlands to erosion and sedimentation, the removal of native vegetation habitat loss, which I think is, he's saying is unavoidable, has potential impact wetlands watercourse, but it seems pretty minimal. Impacts to wetland hydrology and stream flow. So he's saying like there is a water course here though, Alexis. You disagree with that?
Well, there's not a, sorry, was that Alexis? Sorry, Alexis, go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Efren.
There's not a water course. I mean, there is flow, of course, from this wetland is higher at an elevation than this one. So the flow
Yeah.
does cross this way, but I don't believe it's not a defined water course. Like,
Yeah, I agree. I don't, from my site visit, I don't recall seeing anything with kind of a defined bed and bank that had what would meet the definition of a watercourse. And I don't think that the delineation report calls out, other than where you just read, where he talks about the hydrology. I don't think that when the wetland delineation was done, I'm just going to check that, that there was any indication of a watercourse either.
no.
So it's more, there are some at the end of the McManus report, there are some photographs.
Yeah,
Of
it looks
the
like it's
site?
pretty
And so there definitely are some areas, oops, if you go to
like page 9 or 10 in the
page
PDF.
9, the top photo is wetland 1, which is the one to the left of the driveway. No. Yes. You can see the let's see, the area on the left side of the photograph, kind of a black looking soil that's typical of an area that sees some amount of inundation seasonally, but it's fairly diffuse and does not quite meet the definition of a watercourse.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I guess in the last line of that report is basically that with diligent, done well, this shouldn't have significant short or long-term impacts on the wetland. I guess I'm kind of curious. So we obviously have an issue with water running down the driveway, and I'm fairly sure that even if we do pervious asphalt, which I think would need to be defined very closely, that you're not going to avoid that. You're not going to avoid water running down the driveway if it's at that pitch there. So how are we addressing that?
Well, under current conditions, it's gravel. So it's like sand. It's, well, not sand, but it has fines in it. So it's very erodible.
Yeah.
Asphalt, it's bound with like a binder from the asphalt plant. It doesn't erode.
Right.
Additionally, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with porous asphalt. If you've ever seen it, it's very cool. Like when it rains, it just goes down. The runoff is minimal unless it's really, really raining. So I think that this, that does address runoff carrying sediment, and oils, etc., from cars into the wetland.
I would want that laid out a little more scientifically, if you don't mind. Not right now, but
Sure.
in the application, just
Sure.
because what is a lot of rain, and what is exactly happening to the water there.
Okay, I mean that's I can definitely lay that out more clearly. It's defined in the drainage report, which
is it okay?
Yeah, I don't know if that is that in the application materials, Alexis. If not, I can.
It is. It's on
DPW sign off? No.
Looking at what we posted.
And the other thing about this pervious pavement too, while Alexis is digging that up, I mean, you have to maintain it, and it does fill in over time, and it's not like a home run, just like any sort of stormwater control approach. It all has maintenance required or drawback.
Of course.
So we just want to make sure we're
definitely. If your infiltration galleries, those have to be maintained, or catch basin sump has to be maintained. Like, of course.
Yeah. I mean, you're the engineer, so. Okay, that's just one thing that jumped out at me. The extent to which the driveway needs to go cut the corner basically into the wetland is a question for me. I mean, like, really, what are we gaining here? You're dipping into the wetland by what, 6 feet?
Yeah.
Or so, and you've got room, to stay completely out of the wetland, honestly. And then wouldn't that also, I don't know, open more doors for you? I mean, do we need the culvert quite to the degree you've got it? Because we're worried about, and overall, we don't want, the report says there shouldn't be a negative impact, but, again, if it's done right, if it's done carefully, et cetera. So if we can avoid any opportunities for having it done wrong, that sets us up for success.
Sure. I mean, do you want me to address that, the routing of the driveway now, or is that for a later time? I mean,
I'm just throwing stuff out there. We're just gathering information right now, and trying to set us up and you up for being able to move this forward as expediently as possible while also meeting our needs.
Yep. There's an alternatives, which has a little bit of a narrative and some sketches of alternatives, like you said, and why that approach wasn't taken.
Which document is that?
That is called the project narrative and alternatives.
Oh,
that's on the first of the webpage. And Mr. Conti, if you could send me the drainage report again, I don't think it came as part of the application packet. I know
Certainly.
that you and I discussed it maybe well before you applied. But it wasn't as part of the DPW sign off on the plan, but not the plan itself. Just
I'm
went
sorry,
through
say-
what we
I'm sorry, say
received.
that again?
So we have the DPW letter in their review of your drainage plan, but we don't actually have your drainage plan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I apologize. I'll send it along.
All right, so I'm seeing it's on page 5 of 6 in the Which Lane alternatives. It says project narrative and alternatives. Yep, thank you. So yeah, there's the red, that's the alternative. Okay, and the language I see is up on page 2 to 3. So it's rejected because it fails to meet the basic goals of the project. Rerouting the driveway west of the wetland, it's actually east of the wetland, isn't it? Creates a
Yeah, it's
non-functional
east of the
driveway
line.
and parking area for 93 Witch Lane. Does it though?
Well, yeah, this.
I mean, they're using it now with the driveway a whole 15 feet over. So how is it not usable? How is it not usable in the future where but it's usable now?
Well, to avoid it just being one big blob of asphalt, right? I tried to define here, like, okay, here's the limit of the wetland. Here's where the edge of the driveway would be, the other edge. Then
Right.
there'd ideally between two adjacent, lots and driveways, there'd be some sort of planting buffer. And so that would sort of be the edge of their limit of pavement, right? And it's back here, now.
Yeah. But are we seeing any bad things happening because the pavement is there? I mean, like, I don't know. There's a general rule, we like to leave things the way they are unless it's obvious that they're bad, right? So I guess I don't completely understand that logic, unfortunately.
Right.
Also noting that there is going to be some decent sized trees removed well within the wetland upland review area toward Which Lane right there, right?
This one's dead. If you come and look at it,
Oh.
it's just like a stump.
Okay, and that's the only one that's coming out right there. It looks like there may be
Let me go
Little-
back to
a few more.
Sorry, let me go back to my survey.
Yep. Yep.
Those more clearly. So these here, I'm going to do my best to save. I mean, I have a wall here so that they're not impacted by grading. This is the dead one.
Okay.
This one would stay. This would stay. This would stay. This would stay. That's in the wetlands. It's really these four here. Well, 5,
Okay.
that little 10-inch oak.
Okay, wait a second. So, but go back to the road, please, if you don't mind. So the one that so there's not an X. There is an X. Can you make it more obvious for us?
Yeah, this one doesn't have an X because it's like a stump. So I'll
Oh,
put an X on it though.
Alright.
It's not a living tree.
no, we just want to make sure the information is consistent. So if I'm
Sure.
seeing a picture in one place that shows a tree, but then you're telling me here's a stump, let's just make sure it's obvious what it is in case somebody asks later, right?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I stand by what I said before about not entirely buying the justification for cutting the corner across wetland number 1. But that's just my opinion and just sharing that with you. It doesn't mean yay or nay, it's just my thoughts.
Understood.
And I've talked a lot, so other commissioners, by all means. Anybody else want to add anything or ask questions?
I just have a quick question about the property line for understanding. With the property up front.
Yeah.
So it's a revision, is that why it's that's being pushed back?
Yes. Yeah, so this thick one here is the existing lot line. And this is a strange flag lot. This is like 50 feet wide
Yeah,
and zoning only requires 25. So this portion would be conveyed to 93 Witch Lane. So now that's sort of cleaner in my mind. They have a lot with the driveway. I have a lot with the driveway.
so then the driveway as it showed, so in that's where I think I'm confused because on the revision option, it looked like it was going into that area. Is that not correct? Am I?
In this option,
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, the new driveway would go on
Yeah,
the neighbor's property.
this
That's-
lot line, right, wouldn't work anymore. Correct. The green line would
Okay.
if I did the red alternative.
Got it. That's what I was trying to understand because
Yeah.
if you were looking at the alternative, right?
Which is
Right.
basically an inverse of the way it is now. Now they've got some of their driveway on your lot, and after it's going to be some of your driveway on their lot, which is
Well,
6 one and half a dozen the other.
well,
But
in what's proposed, no. Their driveway is completely on their lot, and my
Yeah.
driveway is completely on my lot.
I'm talking about alternative too.
In this alternative, yeah.
Yeah, right.
If this, I don't want to do this alternative, but in this scenario, this lot line would have to, I would just revise this to something else.
Okay. Any other commissioner questions?
Yeah, on the plan where you have the boulder buffer, what is above that buffer? And what is the distance of that boulder buffer to the wetland line?
Yes, good question. I don't have this dimension at my fingertips. It's probably on the order of 25 feet, but I should get like an actual number for you. And it's like a lawn area.
Okay, and well, I guess what I was asking was how far is the boulder wall from the wetland line?
This
Yep.
from, yeah. Again, I don't have that dimension on my fingertips. I can get it to you. It's probably on the order of like 3 to 4 feet.
Okay, and then it would be maintained lawn above that?
Yeah, it would be lawn
Okay.
above and plantings below. I mean,
Okay.
I haven't thought that hard about it. I mean, if it needed to be like a meadow buffer above for some distance, I'm open to something like that, definitely.
Yeah, I think I as far as that buffer, it seems like, with lawns, a lot of times they have chemicals applied to them, things like that, to maintain them and keep them nice. And having a larger buffer is always a benefit.
Sure. I'm not in the chemicals camp, but trying to not do that on my lawn, but I understand totally when it's a maintained lawn, there's fertilizer, etc. Yeah, a buffer is a good idea.
Thanks for calling that out, Cheryl. And how tall is that wall? What's the grade change from top of wall to bottom of wall?
Let me see. This is
About a 3-foot wall. Okay, so it is a decent
it's
decent wall.
2.8, yeah, 3 feet.
Okay. Yeah, I would say maybe even pushing the wall back. I don't know how much wiggle room is enough, but yeah, it does feel a little tight. Okay. Great comments. Anyone else?
There was another wall, wasn't there? Did I see another one?
Yeah, there's a wall on this side too.
Oh. Is having that wall the only way to make the driveway work right there?
Yes, the grades are very steep here. You can see these existing contours are like pretty tight together. And these are proposed contours spaced out much more.
Yeah. Hmm.
It would be a very, I don't think it's possible to make a acceptable driveway to DPW standards in this section without a wall.
Do you have a detail of the wall in the drawings by any chance?
I don't have a detail of the wall, no. I have a detail of the culvert. Do you mean like showing like a footing and
Yeah, I'm just wondering which direction the footing goes in as well. If there's a wall there and it's as, excavation needs to be done around the base of the wall more if you have like, a instead of like a reverse, you could do a reverse footer or something like
Mhm.
that to minimize.
Okay. Well, and does leaving the driveway farther toward the east for longer as you're coming from the road toward the new house, does that buy you more wiggle room? Like, for example, if you were to leave the southern 2/3 of the driveway where it is and upgrade it like you're proposing, which is a really good idea. Don't think that we don't see the benefits to replacing the gravel. That's
Mhm.
definite. I mean, we definitely get that. Are you able to connect the old to the new before it gets to the parking area of the new house, basically?
I'm sorry, can you
Yep,
say that
right
one more
about where your
time?
mouse is. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
here.
right as you start, right as the wetland 2 to the east side of the driveway starts, pulling away, and that's where your lawn is. So you keep going,
Here.
yeah. So if you were to leave the driveway alone and then right there, shift it to the west, that minimizes the amount of grading that you would need to do along the west property line, right? Or is it that the house is up high enough that
Yeah.
I see? So you've got to come up anyway.
So this site, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to do this. This site has a lot of relief from one side to the other, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to pick like a middle point essentially where I'm not digging too much of a hole and building too much of a hill.
Yeah.
Being in the middle, and this driveway has to come up to meet that. So
Right, so the existing driveway is a few feet lower than where you want the new one to be by the time it's the new house.
correct. So if I had moved to the west, as you're suggesting, then there gets to be more grading towards that wetland.
The east, you mean, up on the drawing?
Yeah, I'm sorry, to
Yeah,
the east.
so basically, yeah, we've got to, if in order to raise the driveway, there's got to be a wall on either side. And we have wetland on either side as well, basically.
Mhm.
So you're really threading the needle here, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, this existing driveway, I'm not like a soil scientist or anything by any stretch, but I believe that this all used to be, wetland soils. And back when they did this in 1950, they just came and put fill right through the middle of it, essentially.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to help undo some of that as much as I can.
Yep. Okay. All right, things to consider. I think we've dwelled on it long enough. Sorry, everyone.
So it is a significant regulated activity. That includes a couple things, including a public hearing. And so I don't know if you want to go ahead and schedule that tonight, or if you want to give the applicant a chance to submit some of the drainage report and some of the other things that were discussed tonight, and then reconvene at the next meeting on the 26th and then figure out a date to schedule the public hearing at that meeting.
I think the latter sounds good. Public hearing is the end of the road, so let's not rush to get there unless the applicant is thinking he can hit a home run in 2 weeks with the application. So basically, John, I think it'd be a good idea to next meeting, if you're willing to consider some of the things that you've heard from us right now. At the next meeting, maybe give us present something with some revisions that you think address our concerns. We can have a similar discussion, and then if it seems like we're within we're in the red zone as far as the goal line, then you can schedule the public hearing, which I doubt will be very exciting. But basically, once the public hearing is done, that's it for us receiving information from you and for you making changes. So
What you outlined there sounds good to me. Yeah, I'm in for the long haul. So whatever I can do to sort of bolster my case and present more information, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, great. All right, so let's hold off on the public hearing. Let's see where we're at in 2 weeks, and then we can go from there. That's okay.
I'll put in my pitch to strongly encourage you guys to go have a look, which I always do.
Noted. Okay.
Thanks very much for your time and consideration.
You bet. Thank you. Okay. Next up, one more receipt and discussion, S23-628. Costco.
Yes, so, I mean, I can show an aerial photograph of this, but I think a lot of people know where the Costco is on Connecticut Avenue. So if you're headed to Connecticut Avenue towards Darien, it is, as you leave Norwalk, it is on the south side of Connecticut Ave on your left. You also cross over the 5 Mile River there. And in between Costco and the 5 Mile River currently is the DoubleTree Hotel building. That building is proposed to be demolished and acquired by Costco so that they can improve their existing parking garage with the real estate gained there. So the applicant's team is here, so I'll just, you've seen 2 other receipts, so you know what to expect at this point. If you should be able to share your screen and go from there.
Got it. Thanks, Alexis, and good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is John Nuffin, returning with an office at 147 Broad Street in Milford. I'm here tonight on behalf of Costco Wholesale Corporation. As Alexis mentioned, Costco is the owner of the 2 properties at 779 and 789 Connecticut Avenue. 779 is the site of the existing Costco store. 789 is the former DoubleTree Hotel. The properties combined are approximately 13 acres. And the 5 Mile River runs along the western property of both parcels. The application proposes work associated with both the demolition of the existing hotel building and site improvements pertaining to an expansion of the parking deck. The proposed work will yield substantial environmental and operational benefits. Just very quickly, in terms of the operations, provide much needed parking. Anyone who's visited the site, particularly on a weekend during the holidays, knows that there's a need for additional parking. It'll also be done in a manner that is far more convenient and accessible than currently. As you'll see from the plan, if someone coming from Route 1, Connecticut Ave can pull directly into the lower level of the garage rather than sort of circumnavigating the deck, which will make it far more efficient. And then we'll also be creating an alternate means of ingress and egress from Connecticut Avenue, which will help traffic on Connecticut Avenue. More importantly, and more relevant to this commission, there's also significant environmental improvements, reducing impervious coverage in the upland review area by about 30,000 square feet, increasing the distance between the river and impervious area from about 2.5 feet to 68 feet, and improved stormwater quality treatment. We do not qualify as an intermediate activity because the amount of grading that we're proposing. A lot of that is removing of impervious coverage. And so we obviously do need a public hearing, as the previous applicant did. It is our goal to be heard as soon as possible. And I know that you can't make that determination based upon my quick summary, but we do have Michelle Carlson, who's a professional engineer from BL Companies, Sagan Simcoe, who's our certified soil scientist. And so what I would ask is that as we work through our discussion this evening, you bear in mind that, if possible, we'd like to open our public hearing at the next meeting on September 26th. But we understand that, you're going to have some questions about the project, after Michelle and Sagan give their presentation. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle Carlson, who could describe the proposed redevelopment.
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Michelle Carlson. I'm a licensed professional engineer with BL Companies located in Meriden, Connecticut. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay with you. Hopefully you can see it. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. As John already stole a little bit of my thunder, he went in and talked about the acreage of the Costco property and the hotel property. I'm assuming you're all familiar with this property, or you've driven by it. Right now, what we're talking about is the work we're going to be doing in the regulated area, which is the 100-foot buffer to 5 Mile River, and then the 50-foot buffer to this wetland, which is actually a stormwater pond. And Sagan will go into the functions and values after I give you a brief overview. What Costco's planning to do is, as part of this application, is we're going to demolish the hotel and the existing parking. And this is a blow up, as you can see underneath. This is the existing deck of the hotel. And in this area, it's about 35,000 square feet of impervious surface. This is all going to be taken out. And there's 2 trees in here that will be removed in these islands as part of the work. This is the 100-foot buffer to the water course. And we're going to be removing all of this impervious. Right now, the distance from the wetlands with the existing parking garage, which is to remain of Costco, this is the existing Costco deck, is about 31 feet from the wetland feature to the edge of the deck. We're not touching that. And then right now, here's a pinch point with the wall. I have some pictures of the wall to show you that's going to remain in place. This existing wall is just under 3 feet, and we're not touching anything on the river side of the wall. I just want to make that clear with this work, and I'll show you some photos in a minute. This is what it's ultimately going to look like. You can see now this is all green area that's going to be given back as a buffer to 5 Mile River. The deck, if you remember, extended all the way out to here. And now we're going to put green back in this area. And we are right now planning on keeping this wall. It's approximately 10 to 12 feet tall in the tallest section. And I'll show you some photos, like I said, in a minute. This is the proposed new deck that's going to go in place of the hotel. It's going to have 2 levels. This top level is going to connect to the existing top level Costco deck. And then the access point into the property, we're going to maintain the existing hotel entrance. And you'll come in and you'll be able to access the lower deck from Route 1 right away. You won't have to drive in like you do now if any of you are familiar with the site. As part of this, Costco is going to also relocate their existing tire center to a building out front here on the hotel property, this will be compiled into one property. We're going to consolidate it to be one property. Any questions so far? You want me to keep going? Keep going, okay. Now, this is a side-by-side comparison of what I just showed you, basically. This is the existing condition. This is the proposed condition. Existing condition, 35,000 square feet of impervious in the upland review area. When we're done, we're going to have 7,100 square feet. Distance from the water course is about 3.5 feet, 3 feet. That's still going to be because of the wall, but we're basically taking back like almost 70 feet of green. We're putting 70 feet of green in here, which is shown in this slide right here. And we have an underground stormwater system, which I'll go to next. Right now, stormwater from the site runs off into the river. It's not treated. It runs off and goes into the river. What we have to do is we have to treat the water quality volume now that we're redeveloping the site. So the way that we're going to treat the water quality volume is by capturing all of the runoff and putting it into an infiltration system. The bottom part of the deck, to be clear, will actually have to be captured, go through an oil water separator and into the sanitary sewer. The regulations require that the bottom of the deck, that has to happen with the bottom. The top of the deck will be collected and go into the system, and then it'll go into the underground system. We are designing everything in accordance with the Norwalk stormwater regulations, and we are decreasing both rate of stormwater peak flows and volume of stormwater from the site. So that's a win-win. We're decreasing both. What we're going to do is we have an ENS plan. We're going to have a construction entrance here. Over here, we have a sedimentary trap to collect any runoff. The plan is to demolish the hotel as soon as we can. It's vacant. Costco purchased it. It's sitting there vacant. They want to get it demolished. The plan is to demolish the hotel, put down some gravel in the proposed parking area here, get this area, established with some green, and then in the spring and next year, construct the actual deck and the other improvements on the site. But the first order of magnitude this year is to get the hotel demolished and stabilize the site. And I want to show you some photos while we're here too, just so you can see. Let me get rid of this. So many screens open, sorry. This is by the side of the hotel. On the other side over here, the treed side is actually 5 Mile. 5 Mile River. You can see it better driving here. You're driving down from Route 1 toward the parking deck. This is the wall that's going to remain, but all of this is coming out and it's going to be green. This is on the opposite side. This is the stream side, and we're not proposing to do anything in here. This is going to remain, and the wall is going to remain. We've evaluated the wall. This is the part of the deck structure. This is all coming out, and this is going to be put back to green. So that's the plan. Does anyone have any questions? Have I confused everybody with the photos?
No, I think it all makes a lot of sense. The first question I had was, has anybody that you've talked to suggested considering taking the wall down? I understand why it needs to stay there because you need that, you know, flat-ish land for the infiltration feature. But I mean, just as far as, and this is not entirely under our purview, I think I'm mostly curious, but as far as like big storm events, mitigating, you know, the velocity of water down the 5 Mile River, et cetera, you know, those walls create a channel, it increases velocity, which increases damage, et cetera, et cetera. So was that ever part of the conversation?
We're going to look at that after, like, what for Costco's operations and what they need to do for the, you know, their business and the safety of traffic and their employees and everything. They want to get the hotel taken down because they own it, it's vacant. They want to get the parking deck put up. And at the same time, we are going to analyze that and see if it's feasible. We've had preliminary conversation with FEMA to talk about that. What we have to be careful of is if we remove that tall wall, as I showed you in this picture, we have to make sure we have got to figure out how high does the water actually rise? Because obviously we're in the 100-year flood. It apparently goes over the wall. And if we take the wall out, most likely what we would have to put back in place of the green that I've showed you is it would probably have to be a riprap armored area. So it's the trade-off, right? Do you want to riprap it do you want to armor it with riprap, or do you keep the wall and you keep the green, right? But for now, because of the timing of everything and the need to get the hotel down and get the other part of the project built, we're kind of want to get that permitted first, and then we will look at that.
Okay, thanks.
But that is one consideration that, you know, this might have to all be armored. It might not be able to be green because of the velocities if we take that wall out.
Well, and the question we would just have to ask is what is better for the water course, which is,
Right.
you know, really all we're here to talk about. And
Understood.
and obviously the wetland, but
Understood.
Right, so we also still have Sagan Simcoe, who's our
Yep.
certified soil scientist. If it's appropriate to move on, Mr. Chairman, Sagan
Please.
can address you.
yeah, sorry, thanks.
And Kim, Kim, Michelle, if you can keep sharing your screen.
Sure,
maybe,
absolutely.
bring up the side by side.
Side by side, got it.
Yeah, I think that'd be best. For the record, my name is Sagan Simcoe. I work for BL Companies. I'm a certified professional soil scientist and wetland scientist for the project. As was mentioned, we really only have just the one wetland. It's a constructed stormwater basin. So it has the functions and values that you would expect: groundwater recharge, stormwater retention, sediment retention, nutrient retention. And it does have a little bit of wildlife habitat as a secondary function as well. So we have that one feature, and then of course the 5 Mile River. Michelle spoke a lot about the green space. Right now, what's located in the green space is a lot of invasive species, namely tree of heaven, you know, the invasive bittersweet vine. So what is there isn't very good native vegetation. So that's one aspect of this project. So we're going to be removing invasives and replacing with all native vegetation, of course. So the functions and values of this area of the 5 Mile River will be increased. Obviously, you know, we had the discussion about the quick flow of the water through there with the wall, channelizing the water. We're hoping that the green space that we're adding will contribute to slowing down the water before it gets into 5 Mile River, and help with that aspect as well. So So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the whole long and short of the wetlands. I mean, we're not planning to touch the stormwater basin at all, like Michelle mentioned, so so that's not an issue. And basically adding all this green space is going to just increase the functions and values of the 5 Mile River. So if anyone had any specific questions, I can go over that.
Can we just bring up the visual again for the,
Which one do you want?
the with the proposed new green
Yeah, the
space
side by
added-
side, Michelle.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wait, you don't have it? I thought I was sharing my
No.
screen. I apologize.
That's okay. I was trying to,
My bad.
I said it without saying it. Thank you. We all do it.
So
Well,
while
actually, there
Sigrid
was
was
a better-
talking and I was pointing to everything, nobody saw what I was pointing to.
I figured.
There's actually a better diagram. Michelle, would you mind showing the one that shows the infiltration feature overflow, please? It was highlighted in blue, looked like a funnel. There you go. Yep. Can you zoom in on that a little bit, please? And can you actually explain what's happening there? Actually zoom in a little bit
Sure,
more.
yeah.
I don't think we're
Just-
very concerned about
yeah.
what's happening on these side of the site. I mean, really want to focus on right
Yeah,
along.
we have, obviously, this is an underground system that's going to treat the water quality volume. Right now, there's no water quality being treated. Everything that's collected on this site is just running and getting into, obviously, the river untreated. So now what we're gonna do is we are gonna treat the stormwater before it goes into 5 Mile River, the water quality volume, right? So the water quality volume is gonna come through, and then there's an overflow. What doesn't infiltrate will actually come out the pipe into the channel and back out into the river. But it'll be treated before it goes into the river.
Right. So it's a
We
retention.
can better define, if you want, for the public hearing, we can better define the channel for you so you can clearly see the channel.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
Yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem. And then, like I said, the regulations require that the lower part of the deck go through an oil water separator and into the sanitary sewer system. And that's not even going to be in the regulated area.
So we're only catching water from the upper level of the parking deck.
Correct.
And what rainfall percentile event is this designed to hold on to, and for how long?
We ran the calcs all the way through the 100-year storm event. The pipes are sized, the collection system's designed for the 25-year event as required by the regulations. And then the first flush is the water quality volume that's going to go in to the underground infiltration system.
So every 25 years, we can expect the system to be overwhelmed?
Well, where the pipe system is designed
That was
in
a
the
trick
conveyance.
question.
I was gonna say, no, the conveyance system is for the 25-year storm. It can convey through the 25-year storm. It's not gonna be overwhelmed. I mean, unless you have a 100-year event, I mean, everything's overwhelmed. I can't sit here and tell you that that's not gonna happen.
Right.
But it's gonna be better protected than it is today because this whole area is gonna be green, right? And the water is not first going into the river.
I guess I was
And then-
curious,
and
if
then-
that wall is solid all the way along where the hotel is now, are there like openings where the water goes over the wall?
Yeah, right now, there's holes in the wall, okay? And
Okay.
some of the water is coming against and going through the holes. And like I said, I'll better define the channel for you, so you can clearly see in the next meeting where the water ends up. Because it basically comes through here with the contours and into the river.
Okay.
Did we talk about, perhaps I missed this, but for the demolition? Any of the safeguards put in place for, by the river? For any of the construction materials, demolition?
Well, the contractor's gonna have to protect, that nothing goes into the river. Right now, we're showing it defined with silt fence and construction fence. But there might have to be some, further things implemented for them if they feel it's necessary. But we've met on site several times, and it appears that, with good armoring, they can protect it. I mean, it's not like it's loose soil and we're worried about,
Yep.
soil going in and sliding in a rain event. I mean, this is construction debris that they have to control, not getting into the river and going downstream.
I have a question about all that new green space. Can someone walk us through the planting plan and what the maintenance plans are for that area? Because it's quite a bit larger, you know, now. Not now, but with your proposed plan.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just give me a minute. I have to pull up the landscape plan. I didn't have that one ready to go. Just give me a minute, I'm sorry. I know that we're, like I said, we're removing 2 trees in these islands, and then we're planting back in this area with lower growing items because of the underground detention system. And I'm pulling it up, it's loading. Can you all see the plan set?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Let me go to the landscape plan. Okay, so for deciduous, there are a few deciduous trees that are gonna go along here, smaller deciduous trees. And those are going to be, oh my God, I apologize. I just went to another page.
It's only when everyone's watching that these things happen.
Oh, I know, technology is great when it works, right? Trying to zoom in so everybody can see what's going on, and then I hit and slit and go the other way. So there's some dogwood trees and cherry trees in this area. And in here, and then there's some spruce also that are gonna be in here and along the front. So there's a mixture of deciduous and smaller, you know, flowering trees along here. We don't want to put anything that's going to go too deep seated against the wall. And then we also have, you can see the plantings that we have. We have summer sweet, we have inkberry holly, American holly, winterberry, rhododendron, spirea, some late morning grass, junipers, daylilies, just a mixture of different plants. And then, you know, the daylilies and the grasses along, you know, the entrances, and some more of the dogwoods and liner trees here. I mean, do you want me to go specifically section by section? Are you more concerned in here?
I guess what is like the ground cover that's being utilized? Is it lawn? Is it meadow? Is it?
No, there'll be lawn in here, in between like the landscaped areas along the perimeters and the edges. This in here over the infiltration system, this is all going to be lawn area. It's going to be grass.
What might be really helpful is, because I know that you have your review from zoning, and they require you know, a landscaping plan and some street trees and other screening trees. I would recommend separating out your wetland watercourse buffer plantings.
Sure. Okay.
For the Inland Wetland Agency, and then have your, you know, foundation plantings, street trees, just to make it very.
Sure.
I think what Commissioner Brown is trying to figure out is, at the end of the day, I think they appreciate green space, but trying to ascertain what is kind of the nature of that green space. Is it going to be an expansive lawn, or is it going to be something that's more natural? And I know that in the specs, it has I think that was overseeded with a different seed mix other than lawn.
Yeah, there's conservation seed mix. It's seeded with conservation seed mix in here.
Right. So
and then
just making clear that we understand, well, how will that area that is seeded with not lawn seed, but conservation seed mix seed, what is the maintenance plan for
Okay.
that? Is it going to be a, taller? Is it, or at the end of the day, is it going to be mowed so that it pretty much looks like the area that's seeded with lawn seed?
Right, right. And I think that, the intent in here is that it gets naturalized like it is down in here, right? And it continues on. There's no direct connection from this green space to the river because of the wall, right? But what happens is gaining back all this green space, makes less dirty water going into the river than what is going in there directly now, right? So we're providing a plan that's going to provide better water quality, not only because we're capturing the first flush, also because we're adding this green space, in adjacent to it. I can definitely, for the next meeting, have a very clear plan of what's being planted in the buffer area that you're concerned about, and make sure that it is applicable to plants that would be good for a good green buffer.
Right, native.
I would like to see a maintenance plan as well.
Okay, yep.
Because a lot of times when things are seeded, sometimes invasive plants can come in, and I know that the stormwater area that's existing below the existing parking deck on the Costco property has quite a few invasives in there, and I just don't want to see that kind of happen over here if we can
Right,
avoid
okay.
it.
Yep,
Yeah, we can easily specify the frequency of mowing and all that, and even frequency of just doing a walk and to look for invasives to make sure, like I said earlier, there's a lot of tree of heaven down there on the slopes, and species like that, they don't wait very long to take over, especially disturbed
Okay,
areas.
that would be fantastic to see. Thank you.
Other commissioner questions? These are excellent comments, excellent responses. Thank you. It's not to pull back the curtain too far, but it's sort of a tricky situation for us because what this application is being compared against is something that should have never been done in the first place, right? Like as far as like building that wall along the river and, like doing the channelizing and like, so, there's the ideal, there's the existing that some boneheads did 50 years ago. And then, we're trying to figure out the best place to be in the middle, within reason, obviously, because, it is private property, you have your rights, but also, we want to do the best we can, for the river. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Well, time-wise, what are we thinking then? We've given some pretty minor feedback. I don't know how anybody feels about my wall comment, as far as undoing some of that dumb stuff they did years ago. Or what? I have no idea. Because if we do schedule a public hearing for 2 weeks from now, that's it. We're gonna have what we have from the applicant, and there's no going back.
Mr. Chairman, to be clear, and I know you've asked for the commissioner's input, but just to be clear, we are more than happy to consider the removal of the wall. Candidly, we just can't do it now. That is a very long process, as Michelle can explain, working with FEMA, trying to understand how that drainage is going to work. You have our pledge that we will look at it diligently with the intent of trying to comply with the overall intent and undoing the bad past practices of the past. But given our timeline, and candidly, we're trying not to let the perfect be the enemy of the much, much, much better.
Yeah.
So I do think, I'm going to ask again if we can open our public hearing. I understand with some of the other prior applications, they're much smaller, but also, we have a considerable amount of horsepower, with BL companies and all of our experts, that whatever issues or whatever questions the commission has asked us to address, we're very comfortable we can do so within the next 2 weeks, and probably even get the materials back to you for your review in advance of the opening of the public hearing in 2 weeks. So.
Thank you for that. My only concern is I'm not sure how, we don't often give, well, all of our approvals of applications are conditional, of course. Having it open-ended though is a different thing. So maybe I'm misinterpreting what you said, but saying that it will be considered in the future doesn't leave us much recourse when nothing, it can be easily dismissed, is in my opinion, and we can't say, well, this is approved on the conditions of, you have to give us another chance to approve it. That's not the way, not really the way it works, as far as I know. Alexis, correct me if I'm wrong. Right, so she nodded. Yeah, so.
Well, I mean, here's a way that you could do it, and this would be, we're sort of like moving about 4 chess moves ahead, but here's what we can offer, is that as a condition of approval, that we will have to come back to the commission, and we can specify the time within a specific time period to demonstrate whether or not we can actually remove that wall. And I think that would be a fair conclusion. So let's say we open our hearing on September 26th, and not to jump the gun too much, we get approved sometime this fall, that's October presumably. Then you could say, and I would need to talk to Michelle, and based upon her experience with FEMA and others, that no later than X dates, probably in the year, a year from now, let's say, call it fall or winter 2024, we would need to come back to the commission with a report analyzing whether or not that wall can be removed or not, and what the practical implications of that are. And you may have to make a tough decision of whether you want a riprap slope or whether you want to keep an existing landscaping. But this is I know this is a wetland agency, but the hotel being vacant is a really serious issue for us. It is a very serious issue for your fire and police departments as well. We really need to get it down. And so we understand that, that's really not your concern, but I mean, that's really what's really driving this, is our strong desire to get the hotel down, get the deck built. I will tell you that the non-wetland folks, including Alexis, have been really very helpful. But we had a all hands on deck meeting with all of your staff, and everyone was I don't want to be hyperbolic, but rejoicing at this application, that we can rectify some of the bad past practices, but also alleviate a real problem that's on site, and with traffic and with our patrons trying to navigate around the site. So I know I'm pushing pretty hard, but not without reason.
Yep. No, that's completely understood. It all makes perfect sense. Michelle?
Yeah, and I just want to add, that the HEC-RAS model and everything we have to run to make sure that if that wall could be removed, as it's not a simple 1-week analysis. It's a complex analysis that takes time. And then we have to work through FEMA, obviously, to make sure that they're in agreement. And we have to make sure that if that could come out, I mean, our client's preference was to take it out, okay? But we said we can't just take it out. You have to analyze the flow. You have to do the HEC-RAS. Like, there's all these things that have to happen. And at the end of the day, it does become a choice point and a discussion of if it can come out and we take it out, what are the potential implications down the road with that wall being gone? Could it further undermine things, 200 feet back, and something that we're fighting, and the river's getting, and it's not good for the river. So it's not just a simple, 30-day analysis and we're done, right?
Yeah, agreed. Well, and none of us
got to be done right.
are engineers either, so we would trust whoever's doing that. I mean, Alexis, what do you think? What are our, because ultimately your office will be drafting the resolution, and we'll just be approving it and or amending it. And you are muted, by the way.
Every time. Yeah, I think that the applicant understands that the 5 Mile River definitely does have a history of being a flashy river and prone to flood issues. And not all of it is due to either the two properties that Costco now owns. As far as coming up with a condition, I think that we could do that with a little bit more information and kind of a description of what would be investigated and, define kind of what a good faith effort is. And that can certainly be, added as a condition of approval.
Okay.
So it's not, it's not typical. And like you said, generally conditions of approval that you put onto a permit approval have directly to do with mitigating the impacts that the activity is having. And I've said over and over, don't come up with things to fix a project. However, when the applicant proposes to do additional actions to look into something that is a significant project. I mean, this is fairly significant, but removing the wall is a very significant project. I think it's a different matter for the applicant to say, oh, we'll look into it, as opposed to you saying, I'm not going to approve this unless you take down the wall. Those are two different things.
I guess the last thing I would add, and forgive me for playing lawyer for 30 seconds. But you have our pledge that we will do that investigation. But in terms of this application, we are not having any negative impact on any resource. So despite all that, I mean, we're not here saying, we're not throwing down the gauntlet. And I think we might be in a position to, but we're not doing that. We're pledging to continue to work with this commission. We have a lot of respect for all the work that you do and everything that's taking place in the city, all the good work that's taking place in the city of Norwalk. You know where to find us. So we're not running. So
appreciate it. Yep. I think we understand. We're on the same page about,
right.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, Alexis, if you're up for drafting something, or you or Amelia or whomever that would align with what we've discussed tonight, that would be wonderful. And I commissioners, does anyone object to scheduling a public hearing in 2 weeks? No. Okay. So do we have to make a motion for that? Okay,
Yes,
I'll move that we schedule a public hearing in 2 weeks and do all the notification rigmarole and yada yada.
At 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m.
Got it. Well, thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. Unanimous, I think. Yep. Okay.
Thanks very much. Have a good evening.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Okie dokie. All right, so now, we are now into the discussion and/or decision section of the agenda. S23-622. Oh wait, shoot. Were we supposed to have a public hearing at 7?
No. The yes, no. So the public hearing was scheduled for 7 o'clock. Sorry, I lost track of time also.
Yeah.
The public hearing was not properly noticed. So I contacted the applicant and the applicant's team. There were 2 issues with notice. So the staff sends a legal notice to the hour, and it's published in the hour as a legal notice twice. That did not happen. And then additionally, the applicant mails notice to all the abutting and directly across the street neighbors, and one of those was missing. So it was decided that it should be punted to your next meeting on September 26th. So you'll have 2 at your next meeting.
Okay, and then the discussion and/or decision for that for 20 Edith Lane would also be postponed.
Correct.
Right? Okay. All right. Well, then our agenda just got a lot shorter. Sorry. Yeah, I totally lost track of time there too. I guess they're interesting applications. Okay.
And I will just note, I will be updating the list of documents. They have updated their planting plan, but it's not on the website yet. I received that earlier today.
Great, thank you. Okay, so S 23-622, 27 Bonnie Brook Road.
Okay, let's see. 27 Bonnie Brook Road. This is the corrective action application that you have discussed at previous meetings. This is the above ground pool and attached deck that were installed without permits, and then some of the existing vegetation was removed. And I can share my screen. My tabs open. Let's see. They have submitted, actually, Brian Carey from Land Tech is here. You can share your screen if you'd prefer.
Yeah, thank you. It's Brian Carey, professional wetland scientist with Land Tech with offices in Westport. We've been here a couple times. You can see all the revision dates on our plan. So this is the latest revision based on comments we had received at the last meeting to move the location of the restoration trees that we'd be planting. So we did actually, the last reiteration had the trees more in the back here. There were some comments put forth by the commission that they'd like to see them put actually within the upland review area. So we did meet with staff and basically go over the comments prior to submitting this plan. So hopefully this was more in line with what the commission was thinking based on the comments at the last meeting.
I think that looks better.
Yeah,
Sorry, what was that?
that was a booyah.
I see some big trees spread out throughout. Unless they're just representatively large trees, but you know. I think they are the larger ones.
I think
Has
in
every-
the packet I included another staff report. It looks very similar to my other staff reports, but it is slightly tweaked to describe the proposed buffer, and then the bond amount went up a little bit for swapping out a tree for a shrub at a higher rate.
Okay. Has everybody had a chance to, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Carey? Has everyone had a chance to review the draft memorandum? I guess my question would be, Alexis, on page 2, condition 1, last revised June 21st, 2023.
Oh, no. Very good. That should be last revised
August 1st.
Mr. Carey, August 1st.
Yeah, don't
And
disregard all the work he's put into this for us.
Yeah, and then there's the most recent plan was from August 24th, which is the one
August
we're looking.
24th. Okay. Thank you. So special condition number 1 would read that all portions of the proposed and conditioned work as detailed on the plan entitled Landscape Plan dated March 6th and last revised August 24th by Land Tech, and as further detailed and modified below, must be fully completed within 8 months of the issuance of this corrective action approval.
And 8 months is good, you think? That's
I mean, yeah, it gives them enough time to get into the spring. So a fall planting would be ideal. It is only September, so you have September, October, and most likely all of November based on past years. So,
Right.
but just in case, I extended it to 8 months from now. So there should be more than ample time to complete the plan.
Okay, I will move to approve the memo for S23-622 as edited in condition 1, last revised date of August 24th. Could I have a second?
Yes, I
I'll
will
sec-
second. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Right.
okay, any discussion? I can't see all of you, so chime in if you do, but we'll do a vote. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain here, Steve. Haven't been to the last few meetings, so.
Okay, but that's still okay, right, Alexis?
Yep. So it passes 3-0-1.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Carey. Do you have more with us tonight? More applications?
As always, yeah,
Okay, well, we won't say goodnight quite yet then.
mine's the next application as well. Thank you.
All right, that's speaking of which, S23-623, 129 Woodward Avenue.
So there is an updated site plan on the website that I think was also updated on 8/24 maybe. And then you also received a draft resolution for approval. Some of the changes, well, Mr. Carey's here, he can describe the changes.
Thank you very much. So based on our last plan, we did go back, based on recommendation of the staff and the town engineer, city engineer. Basically, we added in these, Gold-Tex, drainage units in order to handle, the increase of these 7 parking sites as part of the proposed parking lot. The plan is generally the same. We will be replanting the buffer around the existing wetlands, which is just a depressional wetland that has a outfall on the eastern side. This was a constructed wetland that was built back when the commercial building was put in. Just a little bit of background on the project itself, which has begun interior and some exterior construction outside of the upland review area. They're changing the industrial property into a pickleball, indoor racket and pickleball facility. So the use will be, it will be more commercial in nature, so you won't have as much industrial type of activities outside the site. So that being said, again, we put the drainage in so it's compliant with the city engineered drainage standards. And we are going to be mitigating the additional impervious, not just by the stormwater, but by also installing this riparian buffer. The wetland right now is just choked with invasives, mostly Phragmites, and then some low-growing vines, including the porcelain berry, which just, as you know, takes over everything. So the goal is to come in that and manage that over a couple-year period after these plantings have been installed. That's basically all I have. This project did get zoning approval back in, I believe, January timeframe. They determined that they needed these extra spots based on their usage calculations for the parking area, and some additional interior work that they're planning on doing that I believe has been approved by zoning or is pending in zoning. I'm not handling that part of the application, but I believe that's the background.
Any commissioner questions? I have a question. Have you played pickleball?
I am not a pickleballer. I just build them all over the place. So,
Anybody else? No? I've never played it. Only seen it played. Okay, if no questions related to application, I'll move to approve the memorandum dated September 7th for S23-623 as written. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, well, is that still a majority? Oh, Matt's a yes.
I abstain again. No, I'm just
You
kidding.
abstain again. Cheryl, you seconded, but
Sorry, I
you're a yay. Okay,
sorry, I think I might have been muted, sorry.
no worries.
Aye.
So it's another 3-0-1 vote.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You bet. Have a good night. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Okay, moving right along. S23-625, 25 Stony Brook Road.
Okay, so this is the single family house that is doing some additions that are relatively minor, but it does trigger the health department requirement for a B100A reserve septic system. And it was received at the last meeting, August 8th. And there were some comments regarding clarifying the stockpile areas. And shoot. I just realized that I scanned an update, did not upload it to the website. So let me just see if I can find that real quickly. Sorry about that. Oh dear, let's see.
I'm just reviewing the draft memorandum here.
And then additionally, I made a draft resolution for consideration of your approval. Share my screen real quick.
There it is. There it is.
Okay, so again, the pond is down here, kind of off the map at this point. Driveway comes into the existing house. All of the additions and the second story addition are removed from the wetland by the existing driveway. The stockpile areas are shown here. They're they're kind of in the upper elevation wise, the highest point of the property and furthest from the water course that you can get. And again, there is silt fence that's shown kind of everywhere to separate the area of work from the area adjacent to the water course. There is proposed for the new additions footing drains to drain groundwater from the foundations, and that is shown here. That came up in the discussion with Mr. Greco when he dropped off the plans, and he can describe the size of the footing drain that would discharge just outside beyond the driveway. And the installation of that, I think, is discussed as in one of the special conditions of approval. If you choose to approve, clarifying that the outfall cannot be any closer than 20 feet from the wetland. That's it for me.
Mr. Greco, we're talking about a 4 or 6 inch plastic perforated pipe for your footing drain?
Yes, whatever you require. Mhm.
Well, it's just whatever you're gonna put down there. Just to give everybody an idea of how big it typically is, it's 4 to 6 inches, right?
I'm aware of that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. One
Any-
other question to you. I play pickleball.
Ah! And how long have you played pickleball? Are you a Johnny come lately, or have you been doing it for years?
I started playing tennis, and then pickleball is the new wave. It's really
Yeah.
very, very popular. So I started to split it up between pickleball and tennis. And pickleball is a much quicker game. It's all reactions back and forth, you know. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's
Yeah.
Just you
it
can't
actually-
find a tennis court anymore. You can only find pickleball courts. Everything's going.
I know, it's
I-
amazing.
Yeah.
It's very popular. Mhm.
Yeah, awesome. All right, good to know. Well, on that note then, if no other commissioners have questions, Alexis, I think we were missing a word or two in the now therefore be it resolved section where it said, I think we want to say it's approved.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let's see. Really, I was not caffeinated enough to write these. Hold on a second. I seem to have in searching for the map. I closed my report. Okay. Oh dear.
You didn't just crash your computer, did you?
No, here we go. Oops. Oh. Oh. Okay. So it should read under the now therefore, after the district block and lot numbers are noted, say be approved with the following conditions.
Okay. So I will move to approve the memorandum dated September 7th with that edit. Can I have a second? That was Heather?
That was
Yes.
Heather.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Matt's gonna abstain again. Is silent Jim tonight or what? Okay.
So,
Getting back in the game.
All right, 4-0. Mr. Greco, I hope all your pickleball games come out just that well.
Okay, James, please.
Thank you.
We have someone to make a comment on that.
Oh, okay. You have the floor,
Okay.
young man.
Thank you very much, and maybe I'll see you on the pickleball court.
Sounds good. All right,
Sounds
thank
good.
you. Take care.
Have a good night.
Okay, so bumping ahead, a couple of big sections in the agenda to, this is a new one for me, declaratory ruling.
Declaratory. Yep.
Declaratory, thank you.
Declaratory.
I always emphasize the wrong syllable. DR 23-249 6 Anchor Road.
Okay, so declaratory rulings are the as of right activities that are allowed by the Inland Wetland Act in your regulations. That's in section 4 of your regulations, permitted and as of right activities, and it lays out certain as of right activities that might be in or proximal to a wetland but don't need a permit, a full permit. What the section also lays out is a method for determining how to kind of make the determination whether something needs a permit or not. So it doesn't get just because they are as of right or exempted from permit regulation doesn't mean that a property owner can kind of just declare or claim that they are exempt. They have to fill out a form and then plead their case. We get a lot of these. We process them nearly every day. Usually it's one tree, because this one is more involved than what we typically see and is within a wetland and within a watercourse and just has more activity within a wetland and watercourse. I just wanted to bring it before you as the agency so that you didn't get mad at me when I turned around and approved it. So I'll just read the under your chapter 4 of your regulations. Under subparagraph B, I'll just read this part because I think this is where this falls under. The following operations and uses shall be permitted as non-regulated uses in wetlands and watercourses, provided that they don't disturb the natural and indigenous character of the wetland or watercourse. 1, conservation of soil, vegetation, water, fish, shellfish, and wildlife. Such operation Such operation or use may include, but is not limited to, minor work to control erosion, to encourage proper fish, wildlife, and silvicultural management practices. And I'd say the silvicultural management practices are what you have before you tonight. So I will walk you through the proposal. So this is at the Weeburn Country Club. Does everyone know where that is, or do I? Okay, let me pull up a map real quick. Weeburn was at 6. All right, so the street address is 6 Anchor. Shall I share? Okay, so here is Rowayton, Bell Island. This is Bailey Beach. This is Weeburn Country Club. So it's at the very end of Rowton Ave. And when you come into the club, there's some courts. I don't know if they're pickleball courts or not. And along this property line is this little area of wetlands and an intermittent water course that runs adjacent to what is this road here? Sunwich. You've actually this was on your agenda in the last 6 months, a new development at 8 Sunwich Road. And so it's this layer of vegetation that the club is seeking to remove the existing and install new and improved. And so I'll go through Mr. Kinney's, and you should have received this in your packet, so you can read this at your leisure if you want. And actually, Bill is here, so maybe Bill, would you like to present? I don't know why I'm doing all the talking. We have.
I'm just sitting back and enjoying. Yeah. Please to jump in if you'd like.
Would you like to share your screen, or you want me to? You want to just?
I'll share. Yeah, I've got stuff lined up. So.
Sounds good.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Bill Kenny, professional wetland scientist, soil scientist, and landscape architect working for the Weeburn Country Club. And Alexis was right on track with everything that she has said. And I'll walk you through this, take it from here. There is let me zoom in. So they at this part of their club, they've got the beach and building the beach house and pool up close to the beach, and then the tennis courts, parking, and other improvements. Along this northern property boundary is an intermittent water course that runs through this area. That the vegetation here is it's 99% invasive, a lot of Phragmites. And there's a pocket wetland in this woodland area here that drains out through that water course. And then it goes into a pipe at the end here and ends up over here into some other system. I'm not exactly sure where it drains from there. But the in coordination with the neighbors, the club would like to remove these invasives and put in a combination of an evergreen screen to help the neighbors. And while they were at it, they said, well, why don't we clean up the invasives that are here? So put an evergreen screen, but then replant the area otherwise with native vegetation. And we developed this planting plan for that area to show. You could see that the water course runs along the back property line, and in front of that we would put evergreen tree screen and then some other deciduous trees in front of that. In total, there's about 50 trees. And then about 40 native shrubs in front of the evergreen trees on the south side there. And then we would plant a bunch of native grasses, a lot of, this would be all switch grasses in the front, and they would be planted with rooted plants. On the backside where the watercourse is, we would use a meadow mix that would have quite a diversity of different native plants in that seed mix to plant up the backside where the watercourse is. So, and we have a plant list and some specifications on how to control, how we're going to handle the invasive vegetation and then install the native vegetation, a schedule at the end, and some long-term maintenance suggestions. And I have could run through some photos, but this is a view from the entry drive. North is to the right, the homes are to the right, and the property line is right there, and you could see that thicket of invasive vegetation. This is the frag at the end there, and just have some photos going along. And it's multiflora rose. It's all the common culprits: Japanese honeysuckle, bittersweet. And the trees that are here are engulfed with vines, and I don't know if there's much tree beneath that other than the vines. So that is the proposal. And we've been working with Alexis. I should have gotten this into you months ago, but I've been so busy, and club has been very patient. But we met with Alexis, I think back early spring or late winter, and presented her with a sketch plan, and then she suggested that we submit for a declaratory ruling, and here we are.
Alexis, what does this mean we need to do for this to be?
So you would just, if you agree that it does not warrant a permit, and that it is within the realm of the declaratory ruling, you would just make a motion to accept it as of right activity. And then I would issue a declaratory ruling form for them, and you'd be done. Almost. There's a $25 fee. I'll collect that, but other than that, you're done. So that's it. Just a motion that it is an as of right activity and does not require a permit.
Commissioners?
And I can read any of the other, if you have any questions about that section for the unpermitted, I can certainly read more of that to you, or share that with you.
I'm happy to defer to Alexis's judgment on this one.
I think it warrants a declaratory ruling, not a permit.
Anyone else? Okay, so motion or no motion?
Oh, go for it.
I think this is a declaratory. My brain's starting to fall.
Declaratory.
Fail me. Ruling.
Perfect.
Declaratory. Yes. Can I have a second?
Second.
Heather. Oh, I think Heather got you, Matt.
Oh.
Any discussion?
Just getting tired, you know.
I don't know, it's getting late. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank
bet.
you.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Take care.
No problem. Bye-bye.
All right, bond release S21-584.
I gotta recuse myself from this one, so I'll step away for a few.
Yeah, so actually don't,
Or
we'll have to table it to the next meeting, because once you're recused, you're actually not at the meeting, different than abstaining. So we will add that to the, it's gonna be, but we'll add it to the next meeting.
Okay.
All right, I'll have to wait a couple weeks for $665. Approval of minutes?
I
Anybody?
had one question on the minutes, just if I was reading them correctly. At the end of there was a motion made by Steve and then seconded by Steve. Did I misread that?
That sounds suspicious, although,
It doesn't, it does. I
you
just,
know,
but
it does. I can see it happening.
he could do it. I could see that as well, but I don't know if I am reading this incorrectly. It had a lot of asterisks next to it, so I didn't know if there was something that it was
Can you just
referencing.
let me know which one it was?
It was,
Yeah, so it's under 20 Edith Lane for doing the public hearing, I think.
yep, that's correct.
So Mr. Clocky made a motion to schedule a hearing, and then Mr. Clocky seconded. So we'll go through the record and fix that. Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
sure.
Diana, I also want to make sure you get all the pickleball banter in this
Did
week's
you really
meeting.
want me to get that?
All right, so I will move to approve the meeting minutes after they've been edited with the actual person who seconded my motion. Any discussion? Oh,
Oh,
sorry, I
but it
need a
wasn't
second.
actually you.
Need a second.
Second.
Evil Steve.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Come on, guys, it's fine. Well, I only got Heather and me there.
I wasn't
I'm
there.
abstaining again, so.
I wasn't there, so.
Okay, so it's 2 with 2
2-0.
abstentions.
2-0 and
Yep.
0. Wonderful.
2-0-2.
2-0-2, right, thank you.
I wonder if that's how pickleball scored. Anyway,
Alexis, do you have any comments for us?
No, not at this hour.
Okay. I skipped over conservation initiatives. I did a bunch of stuff before I went away on vacation, and I'm still getting up to speed. I know, Alexis, we need to get something to P&Z soonish,
ASAP, yeah.
ASAP.
So, maybe, if you email me what you have, if it's in a written form, I can craft it into, memo speak. And
Would
then,
you?
you guys can review it at your next meeting. Yep.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, let me, when I have a fresh brain in the morning, do that, and that would be wonderful if you could help us with that, pushing it over the finish line.
Yep.
Wonderful. Do any commissioners have comments other than Heather being worried about being smacked in the back of the head with a blue noodle? No.
it's that hour here.
Yeah, I haven't heard any noise upstairs. I don't know what's happening up there.
It's not necessarily a good thing, you know.
No, that's what I worry about. Quiet is bad.
I just have to, at least I have the camera to watch my back while
Right. Okay, well then I will move to adjourn. May I have a second?
I'll second it. Oh, go take it, please. I've been the second.
Sure, I've got that one. I'm sure there's no discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
It's not that late, but it feels really late. I think.
So it's because it's been